Democrats responding to 100 days of Trump by claiming it's been 100 days of HE double hockey sticks.
Donald Trump's first 100 days have been 100 days from hell. I think if you asked Americans to pick one word that describes Donald Trump's economy and how he's handling it, it would be one word, a five-letter word, chaos. C-H-A-O-S, chaos. Another five-letter word is Trump, T-R-U-M-P. Chaos equals Trump. Trump equals
great.
Chaos.
Wow, that is a good speechwriter. Yeah. Chuck Schumer taking heat from Democrats for not going hard enough on Trump, but Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker isn't holding back. The billionaire Hyatt heirs turned up the heat, saying Republicans cannot know a moment of peace and calling for mass protests against the administration.
We've got to raise alarm bells to everybody. It's a 5-alarm fire, everyone. It's time to step out of your comfort zone and step out into the streets and speak up and make your voices heard, because that's the only thing that we have. That's the power that we have, and we can stop them in their tracks.
But not all Democrats are trying to be a thorn in Trump's side. President Trump was greeted by Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer on the tarmac before his rally. No more hiding behind binders. She got into the beast with the president and even spoke at his event with the troops.
Well, I hadn't planned to speak, but I'm on behalf of all the military men and women who serve our country and serve so honorably on behalf of the state of Michigan. I am really damn happy we're here.
All right, Jessica, let's start with you, because Gretchen Whitmer, a star in the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And now, are they friends?
I don't know if they're friends.
But they have a good working relationship, maybe.
I mean, she did hide behind the folder.
I think she was joking.
Yeah, and she's been funny about it since then. She knows that she governs a swing state, and also it's an event for the troops. What would it say if you wouldn't show up for something like that? So, and by 2028, a lot will have happened.
So she's so much better than Pritzker in your mind?
No, she's not. They're both fulfilling different functions. And no matter where you fall on the Democratic ideological spectrum, you want to see your elected representatives pushing back. That is clear in every single survey. And that does not mean violence. And he was very clear about that, saying this has to be peaceful protest. But there was this one example that I think really showed the power of showing up and marching. There was in Sackett's Harbor, New York, which is dairy country. Trump won it by huge margins. An undocumented woman, her 3 children, were picked up by ICE erroneously. They actually had a warrant for someone who lived within the same Wi-Fi zone as this family. And the town rallied on their behalf. 1,000 people came out and marched for them, including a lot of Trump supporters. And ICE returned them, even after Tom Homan had defended the decision. So there is power in your voice. They were completely peaceful, but they showed that this isn't the way that we do things in America, and that innocent people shouldn't be swept up in what they're doing. So that's the kind of stuff that Pritzker's talking about.
But Judge, you come from that part of the world, but sounds like, I didn't know about this story, but it sounds like it was fixed.
Yeah. And that's the whole point. Look, I think Gretchen Whitmer had a chance to set the tone for the Democrats. I think that, you say, of course, she's there because of the troops, but there are some Democrats who wouldn't be in the same room with Donald Trump. Let's not deny that your party's freaked out that much about Donald Trump. But I think that she did the right thing, and I think that wanting to work with the president to bring back manufacturing to Michigan is a smart move. Okay. And, the Dems, like Pritzker, I don't know what his issue is. He's another white male billionaire that they hate. And now, I can't imagine people getting behind him. But I don't understand what's with the Democrats. Why wouldn't they be interested in getting men out of women's sports when women are being injured? Why wouldn't the Democrats be willing to get Tren de Aragua and MS-13, foreign terrorist organizations who invaded this country, out of this country? Why wouldn't the Democrats want to protect the American people and make sure that criminals aren't given sanctuary in their cities that they pay taxes on? So, I'm kind of tired of hearing about, all of the things that Trump's doing wrong. Trump is doing what he was elected to do, and that is to get rid of the illegals who were criminals, to close down the border to other people who are trying to come through, and to try to solve the economy. And you know what? if you think he's going to do it in 100 days, then, you know, you believe in a fairy. But that he can't do it in 100 days. But he's a businessman and he's trying. The Democrats, all they have is hate, hate, and more hate and lawsuits. And the Supreme Court, their lawsuits are so outrageous. The Supreme Court had to come out and say, look, you local district court federal judge do not think you have a power equivalent to a president to set foreign policy and get an injunction across the entire United States. Democrats are going to get that through their head.
Greg, when Pritzker says Republicans cannot know a moment of peace, are we supposed to think that he means that you're just going to get prank calls?
That's usually what he says before he uses your bathroom. Look, I disagree with the judge. I think a lot of people can get behind Pritzker. He's calling for a mass protest. I think he can do that on his own. He feels the activity in his bones. That could just be the stress from his morbid obesity. He's a charlatan. I love Chuck Schumer. I just hope he lives forever. So this is his brilliance. Chaos and Trump, 5 letters. You know what else has 5 letters? Chuck. His head is so far up his ass, he has to communicate through farts. Anyway, I get it's the opposition. The opposition party has to do this. Jessica's right. You're supposed to push back, but they've chosen to double down on the hysteria that they already exhausted before Trump won. The result is no one's going to hear you. And the worst part about it is you come out for things that you're against, but you can't articulate what you're for. You know, it's kind of like the Dems are like a guy who gets dumped by his girlfriend because he's a jobless, drunken oaf, but trashes her new boyfriend because he's boring and has a job. And she should take him back, even though he's still a drunken, mooching oaf. Except now he has an acoustic guitar and can sing songs about it.
Van Jones had a little something to say to Democrats. Let's play that.
You need a fire alarm and you need a fire station. A fire alarm is somebody who can raise the concern level in an appropriate way. And we also need a fire station. Who's going to put out this fire? The opposition is important, but what's the proposition? What are Democrats offering besides, you know, outrage to Donald Trump and Elon Musk? That has to be worked out.
Anybody listening to him?
No, they should listen to what happened in the Second Punic War, Dana.
Oh.
Judge was there. She remembers.
Oh, why, Jesse? Why?
Hannibal was closing in on Rome. He had just crossed over the Alps and was wreaking havoc. He was relentless, he was ruthless, and he was setting the pace and the tempo. And so they had an emergency Senate hearing in Rome, and they said, we need a new strategy. And so Scipio Africanus came up with the new strategy. They are going to take the fight to Hannibal in his own territory. 120 ships set sail with 30,000 Roman legions from Sicily to North Africa, and they just ravaged Carthage. The Carthage Senate recalled Hannibal back to North Africa, and after that strategic retreat, his forces were depleted. They met on the battlefield, and the Romans won, saving the empire. Trump did the same thing. What is he doing? He's not fighting the Democrats on his own territory. He's taking the fight to the universities. He's taking the fight to sanctuary cities, to the federal bureaucracy, to DEI, big law, and trans. And what are the Democrats doing? Their army's divided. They're cowering in a fetal defensive posture. And their only strategy is to hope that Trump fails. Jessica, if you know anything about ancient Rome, hope is not a strategy.
There's nothing more dangerous than a guy who just listened to a podcast on Rome.
Not a podcast.
Johnny did the research.
McRaven's new book.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. And what was my role?
You were in the Senate, weren't you?
You know what? I had faith that you could pull that off.
I landed.
Yeah.
You did.
I mean,
All right, ahead, Michelle Obama ramps up fear over President Trump's most popular issue with the voters.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.